Hey, I am Adam Post. This is the Morning Post. It's great to see you. I'm having a great morning. I hope you're having a great morning. Definitely let me know in the comments below how your morning's going so far. And while you're down there, make sure you're subscribed. Click the bell for notifications. So recently, Lucasfilm Disney released this trailer, and they tried to inject some extra funny stuff in it. This goofy comment. They fly now about stormtroopers. You may have seen it. I'm going to play this. It's about 10 seconds. So you'll get to see the scene I'm talking about exactly and the reaction. And what they did on this is really screw up the tone. This is not a Star Wars tone. But there's a lot of reasons why Kathleen Kennedy did this. And I'm not sure if you know the history or not. I'm going to go over some of the quick history with you. But here's the scene we're talking about. Okay, so this is stormtroopers flying. Now, aside from the fact that there are continuity issues from Star Wars canon and Star Wars history that show that, of course, Finn was a stormtrooper, so he would know what their technology is. And there have been previous First Order references, Star Wars history references that show that, yeah, of course, they know that they fly. But this is the vibe that I got watching it. I got the vibe of like, this is very Indiana Jones. Watch this. Why did it have to be snakes? So Indiana Jones is looking down at this cavern where he's going to be going into it, and he has a fear of snakes, and it's filled with snakes. So it's kind of this silly moment. I consider it almost to be breaking the fourth wall because, and the term breaking the fourth wall assumes that, like, all right, well, there's this invisible wall that's blocking you from being part of a movie or a play, but you can see through it. The characters can't see it, and it's just assumed that you're kind of part of it. So breaking the fourth wall is like what Deadpool does in the comics and in the movies, where he talks directly to the audience. Now, this kind of silly moment, in other words, they regard that the audience exists. That's the fourth wall concept. This is similar in that, it's this hyper silly moment that, of course, nobody says this kind of in an action, it's an adventure situation. It worked for Indiana Jones. That was the tone of Indiana Jones. It was high adventure. It was exaggerated, and it was okay. It works in Deadpool as well, when Deadpool talks to the audience and just plays off of that rapport that the actor and the character have. There's no such rapport with this guy, Finn. It's not the design of Star Wars. Star Wars is a sci-fi fantasy. It's not at all a high adventure type of film. So then I was like, well, Kathleen Kennedy, the problem with Kathleen Kennedy that we have as people that care about Star Wars is that she's not some lady that just got pulled in off the street. So I did a little research. She actually was involved in all four of Lucasfilm's Indiana Jones movies, all of the movies. So she has a relationship with Spielberg. She was there when Amblin Entertainment was formed with Steven Spielberg. She was part of that. So she has an incredible history. She has a huge history in movies. I'm telling you honestly, I think she's a mess for Star Wars. I don't know what she does right, but she must do something right that won the respect of a lot of movie creators. Her husband, Frank Marshall, is also a producing legend, and they had a deal together with Disney in the early 2000s, a producer deal, her company with Frank Marshall. So, Kathleen Kennedy was at Disney before Bob Iger was at Disney in 2005 as CEO and president. Oh, he's president for CEO. But in any case, she's been there a heck of a long time at Disney. And having left Disney, she was then put back in place by George Lucas himself in 2012. to head up. Wait a second, sorry. Yeah, president as Lucasfilm. Right before Disney acquired Lucasfilm, Disney did not even know, Bob Iger did not know that George Lucas was doing that. She wasn't told that Star Wars was being sold. So there's tremendous internal politics of why Kathleen Kennedy is just allowed to run around loose in Star Wars. But certainly, that doesn't mean that she understands the tone of Star Wars whatsoever. She doesn't. Fans hate it, and as she said recently, she thinks there's no source material for Star Wars, so it's really hard to make the movies. So God only knows what's going on behind the scenes. I do think that this is going to be her last Star Wars film forever, because you can see what they're doing with The Mandalorian. That is not at all like what she's been doing with Star Wars. It's not even just the female power thing. It feels like a Star Wars movie. You're not going to see this kind of cutesy stuff like they fly now. What's going on here? You'll still see a funny robot. Like if you've watched The Mandalorian, there's this cool, funny robot guy in the second episode that's wisecracking, sort of, but he's just a funny, cool character. He doesn't break the fourth wall. It's not this high adventure silliness, even though there's adventurous, interesting stuff going on. So it's really understanding the tone of it and deliberately saying like, well, let's throw some Indiana Jones in there. That's what she did. I'm telling you, that's what she did with her friend J.J. Abrams. This is an interesting article from Cosmic Book News, and they were talking about that probably Disney was hoping They Fly Now would go viral and help promote the movie. Okay, it's a last minute shot. It's a shot. They're trying to do something to get people excited to see this movie, but it wasn't working. And it hasn't worked. It's goofy. None of these guys are Harrison Ford, but even Harrison Ford is not Harrison Ford. What do I mean by that? If you put Harrison Ford, if they hadn't killed him for no reason in the previous movie, his character, Han Solo, and you had Han Solo saying this same line, "They fly now," it would have been kind of cool and cute, but it would have felt wrong because it's not the right tone. Tone is not easy. Tone is a difficult thing to do. I'm working on G.I. Jackrabbits. This is my project, and it has a tone of like serious Ninja Turtles. I think is a good way to say it. And I'm co-writing it with a guy known as Professor Geek. I'll give you a link to his YouTube channel. He's an excellent writer and editor, and he really understands the rules of archetypes and writing and how you need to do things in a proper way. I have created a lot of projects. I've never written one. I wrote one myself, the original G.I. Jackrabbits, and that was 35 years ago, and I was a teenager, and I really wanted to be something special, so I'm going to work with him. And again, this is where Kathleen Kennedy was telling us, Lucasfilm says that Star Wars movies are hard to make due to lack of source material. So she doesn't know what to do with it. The movie will make some money, I'm sure. It'll break $1 billion because Disney can make any movie break $1 billion. They can work their numbers. They can report box office. Reported box office numbers are just reported box office numbers. That's not something like with the Securities Exchange Commission. If they want to report that a movie that does $600 million actually did $1.4 billion, they can get away with it. They can work their numbers. They just have to correct the numbers by the end of the next reporting quarter. That's a finance thing. I'm sorry that's the way it is, but it's the way it is. They can kind of promote it any way they want to. So I did a video on this article, and the bottom line is, just to keep it real short, she just doesn't know what to do with Star Wars because she thinks what exists for Star Wars is not the kind of thing that she wants it to be. But Bob Iger does take chances on things, and Bob Iger will let creative people do stuff. And Bob Iger has allowed Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to make a real Star Wars tone appropriate series, and treatment of the property with The Mandalorian. And it's pretty good. It really is pretty good. If you're a Star Wars fan, forget the movies, watch The Mandalorian. You can get it on Disney Plus, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's well done. There is a cutesy aspect of it, which is the Baby Yoda character, but they fit it within the frame. They don't break any fourth walls. They don't try to make Star Wars something that it's not. They have cutesy Baby Yoda doing things that a cutesy Baby Yoda would likely do. So it's correct and it's contextual within the treatment of the material. That's how you make something great, and that's how you know my books will be great. I actually published College of the Dead. The graphic novel is available now through Indiegogo on In Demand. I'll put a link in the description below as well. But go ahead and tell me in the comments, do you see the similarity of this attempt to Indiana Jones? That link, I'll put a link for that as well in the description. The reference about it being snakes. Hopefully you've seen that movie before. It's a pretty famous movie. That is where Kathleen Kennedy comes from. That's her history. Tell me what you think, if that's where where she was trying to go with this, and if that's why you think she failed also, is that it's just counter to the tone of Star Wars. You can't put stuff like that in Star Wars. It just doesn't fit Star Wars. They established it with Indiana Jones, so you can do it with Indiana Jones. You can't reinvent a brand like this and have people expecting one thing and deliver another thing. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Go ahead and make sure you subscribe, click the bell for notifications. I will see you again soon with another video, and if I don't see you, I will miss you.